Do you want to discover more joy, peace, and freedom with food, exercise, in your body? Here we bring a compassionate, holistic, and sustainable approach to fitness so you can fully enjoy the life you want and express your unique self with the world. I'm Michelle Roscoe, and I want to help you find fitness freedom. I'm so glad you're here. All right, welcome to the Fitness Freedom Podcast. Today I have a really exciting guest, Whitney. I met her in a coaching program, and although she lives across the country, we've connected, and I really admire her and her work. She's a personal trainer and nutrition coach. She grew up in North Carolina, but she has over 15 years, and she has over 15 years of experience in fitness. She takes on a balanced and body positive approach, and with her clients, she seeks to challenge, inspire, and encourage them. And I'm so excited to have this conversation with her today. Welcome, Whitney.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so I want to learn more about you, your background in fitness, how you approach fitness now, and give some help for listeners in whatever they might be struggling with or getting support in their health and fitness. So let's start with you. What is your background in fitness? Tell me a little
Mm.
bit
Uh,
about yourself.
yeah, so I've always been a mover. I have very from a very early age been lucky to have been immersed in whatever activity my heart desired. So, as a little kid, did the gymnastics and ballet, and I think I did baton twirling and swimming and everything. My mom liked to keep us active. So the two that stuck were ballet and soccer. And then I had two brothers that played football, so I like to joke that I would go from ballet to the weight room and hop on the leg press machine with my brother, and they were a great influence to me. So I've always been someone who enjoyed movement, and I danced all the way up through college. I was on my college dance team, and then after college, that became like you can't be on a dance team for as a grown up, unfortunately. So it became, seeking out different ways to move and be involved in different group fitness was always what I really loved because I just loved the energy of being in a room with people who also like to move. So I have dug into every type of group fitness that I could find. I fell in love with CrossFit for a while. That was maybe 15 or 20 years ago when it was kind of early rising.
Wow.
And I was lucky to be part of a really great gym that focused on form and had a big influence of powerlifting. So I got comfortable getting under the barbell and from there I just continued to explore.
So, how did you get into art? I see you have a degree in fine art. How did that work out in between all that fitness stuff?
Yeah, yeah. So that was part of my lucky childhood was I got to be involved in lots of different activities, and art was something that I was always very good at and enjoyed. So those were parallel paths that it was very interesting as I went to college, being someone who was more athletic and sporty, and the art school was I was kind of an odd person there. And you didn't being more artistic and in the sporty side was a kind of a funny fit too. So yeah, those are just both sides of or two different sides of my personality and I continued art after college. I had a small business doing painting murals for a while, and I did some fine art. I did some paintings, and I did that for about 10 years after college. And I had well, I went through a divorce. So I was living 2 hours south of here in Charlotte, and I went through a divorce and some other kind of traumatic events around that time, and I had to move back home to my hometown so that my parents could help me take care of my
Mhm.
son, who was about a year and a half at that point. So I had the opportunity to start over and do whatever I wanted to do. So I'd gotten kind of burnt out on painting, and I'd always done personal training on the side. I would get up early and take clients, and then I would go
Wow.
paint. And so that was something that I did concurrently. And when I started over, it was an opportunity for me to do whatever I wanted to. I remember telling my mom my junior year of college, I wanted to switch majors and do sports medicine. And I also remember her saying no. She was like, "No, you're in your junior year. We're not switching now."
Mm.
So I stuck with it, and I did what I did, and I don't regret that at all. But it's always been a very like two sides of me that don't really fit together, but kind of do. I did a lot of figure drawing, and I studied anatomy that way.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so now I leaned into the personal training, and it's always been a way for me to really give back and nurture. I call it a ministry. It's how I take care of my fellow human being and how I lift people up. And it's very important to me that I am a positive and encouraging influence. So I felt like I had more of a reach with personal training than I did with art.
Uh-huh. That's because maybe it's coming more from your heart in that way.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you've been doing this for 15 years, over 15 years. What's your favorite way to coach clients now? How do you like to work with people now?
Yeah. So I moved pretty quickly from in-person training to virtual training. I've always done a combination of both. To this day, I still have clients that I train in person, and I have my virtual coaching programs. And I really enjoy, again, the reach that I have with training folks online
Mhm.
because when I started getting into personal training more intensely, I learned very quickly that people were coming to me because they wanted to lose weight. And
Mhm.
I'd see them 2 to 3 times a week, and I didn't have very much to give in that regard with that time that we were together. So then I started digging into the nutrition more so that I could add that in. And then I learned that I had a group of people who were coming to me for weight loss and wanted to deal with nutrition, but weren't doing the resistance training and the exercise. They didn't have that piece. So I have this group of clients who were into exercise and loved lifting weights and loved moving their bodies, but weren't nurturing their nutrition and their bodies in that
Mhm.
way. And then I have this other group that were doing the opposite. And so with my virtual coaching, I've it's allowed me to put both those pieces together so that
Yeah.
when I work with someone, I can give them the support they need in a strength training program or just even just accountability for walking and moving and doing exercise while I'm also supporting
Yes, I'm
their
kind
healthy
of the
eating.
same as you. When I started, I just want to do exercise. I love exercise. I want to focus on that. And then as I started working more with clients, I realized how important nutrition was. And I was like, all right, I got to get into it. I mean, I've always been interested in nutrition, but I felt like it was something I didn't want to get into as much. But you realize both are so important. And even people coming in just to exercise, that's great for your health. But if you're looking for like long-term weight loss, it's not the only thing that matters.
Right. And to me, it felt dishonest to say, "Well, I'm going to train you 3 times a week, and you're going to get this is
Yeah.
what you're coming to me for, and here's you're hiring me for this, knowing that they need more than what I can give."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
because exercise is just one small part, just like nutrition is one small part. It's
Mhm.
all part of a bigger whole. So what do you said you mentioned weight loss and you like to work with people and the nutrition and the exercise size. What do you train clients for? Like, what is your focus mainly when you're working with clients?
Health and longevity and functional strength. So that I would say that's really my much more than training for aesthetics, training for functional strength. So I've had clients who are older and want to be able to travel. They're retired and they want to be able to put their luggage up on the
Mhm.
airplane overhead bin or go down the stairs on the tour bus, take care of their grandchildren, get up and down off the floor. So it's really important to me that yes, the aesthetics are there and they're a part of that, but it's really important that um, that piece is nurtured from a holistic standpoint.
Yeah, yeah. Even if clients, I see what you mean. Even if clients want to come in for aesthetics, it's important to kind of not start there because that could kind of backfire a little bit. So for people who do want to train for longevity, functionality, no matter their age, what advice would you give them? Like if someone is listening to this and they're thinking, that's me, I want that too, or they know someone who might want to train that way. What do you think is the best thing for people to do in that case?
Don't put it off and come as you are.
That's
And
beautiful.
I'm sure that you've heard this many times yourself. I hear this phrase a lot. I'll come work with you after I get in shape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Or
there's
even at the gym. Yeah, people have that attitude with the gym too.
yeah, yeah, because it's an intimidating place. And I will say it was a gift that I didn't realize I was giving when I bought my house. I bought a house that has 2 stories and a basement area that is where I have my home gym and I train my clients. And
Cool.
I didn't realize, I mean, I knew, but I didn't realize just how many people were uncomfortable going into a gym and being able to provide a space that is non-judgmental and is, set apart from that has been a big win for me because I've been a lot able to train people who aren't comfortable going into the gym for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And a lot of them are you to see me as a stepping stone, so they train with me for a little while until they feel comfortable with the movements, with the lifts, and then they get to where they feel okay going into a gym and taking over the training themselves or doing classes or whatever it might be. Um, so I would say definitely like you don't need to be in shape to go to the gym. The gym or any kind of fitness facility is there for everyone. You don't have to be any size, shape, or ability level to be there. Everyone owns that space.
Yeah. Yeah, I find that too to be really true when people are just starting or it's been a long time. They feel really intimidated, like they should be at a certain level. And obviously, from our perspective, we're kind of like the authority, the coach. And I think kind of encouraging that and promoting that everyone is welcome is super, super helpful.
I think one of the best experiences I had, well, 2 good experiences, but one was being pregnant and working out through that pregnancy was very humbling because the things that I had worked hard to be able to do, I just learned how to do a pull-up. I just like gotten there and every day I was getting heavier and every day I was less able to do the things that I could do the day before. So it was a really, really eye-opening experience and put me back in that client seat
Yeah.
again. So that and then, like post-COVID, like everybody, I learned a big fat humble sandwich. Life changed and yeah, so and I understand the feeling of not feeling like you're quite yourself.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I can imagine with pregnancy, especially your body changes so much. Yeah.
Yeah, and in strange ways that you didn't expect.
So come as you are and don't put it off. Kind of like investing. Just even if it's like a little bit, start somewhere.
Yeah, and especially if you have the opportunity to work with a coach, I tell people, bring me your mess. Bring me your I'm sure you do something similar. I do weekly check-ins with my clients and I say, those messy weeks where things didn't go as planned, bring it to me and show up. And that's where we really have an opportunity to grow.
Mhm.
And it's not a report card. It's an opportunity to see, what's not going right in your life or in your routine that maybe you thought was. Maybe we thought everything was good and you don't understand why you're not feeling better or having it have the energy that you want, but just showing up and being able to be honest with yourself and take an honest inventory
Mhm.
is it's really beneficial and that's really where you grow. So
Yes,
having
for
that growth
sure.
mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell my clients failure is feedback. There's no real failure. It's just you can take it as a learning lesson, see what might need some focus, what might need some a little attention. I think it
We're all
can be
human.
kind of go ahead.
I was just gonna say we're all human.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes working with a coach just can be kind of like the little kid wanting to impress their teacher and show them a good grade, and it's not like that in adult life or
So
real life.
yeah.
It's like, no, let's just see where you're at, be honest, and there's no such thing as perfect. Yeah, we're all human. We just want to progress a little bit. And I love that you are so vulnerable and honest with your in your own content and showing up real. I think that's really empowering for people because you could say, you don't have to be perfect, but if you're trying yourself to have this perfect image, that's what people pick up on.
Right. Well, we're fed that day in and day out and in different media channels,
Hmm.
filters
Yes.
and the perfect take and you know what drives me crazy is the sped upness. And this has happened long before Facebook and Instagram became popular with reality TV and think about the homemaker over and you in 30 minutes or 60 minutes, however long that show is, you see them totally make over a house and you
Yeah.
think, gosh, it's that easy. But
Yes.
that's not, I love to watch the cookie decorating or the cake decorating. They're all sped up and you're like, in 7 seconds, there's a perfect cake, but it doesn't show all the work that and skill that went into it.
Right.
So I think people come into programs or into fitness and they think, oh, well, I'm seeing all this stuff happen in 10 seconds. And isn't that what happens in my life too? And subconscious messages that we're fed.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah,
like I like to show the mess. I like to show the reality.
yeah, because that's what real life is. And speaking of, what grinds your gears, what do you see as a big issue in our fitness industry? You've been in this for over a decade, which I admire and appreciate so much. Not many people, stick around, so I
Yeah,
respect that. What do you
yeah.
see currently? Maybe it's been going a long time, or maybe it's something new. What do you see as a big issue?
There are a lot of issues.
Yeah, sure. Spill the tea.
Yeah, so comparison game is one of them, right? Whether you're comparing yourself to, your younger self or someone else, that's definitely because our bodies are unique, our lives are unique, and we don't all have the same. There's a saying we all have 24 hours in a day, but yeah, we all have a lot of different things that need to happen in those 24 hours.
Yes.
So comparison is one for sure. I have worked at a lot of different fitness studios and I really enjoy that because I take all the secrets from and I take all the good stuff and I use it.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot and pulled a lot from different fitness modalities, but the studios that I have not stayed at long tend to nurture this harder is better
Mhm.
mentality. I watched different coaches go around the room and make things harder for members and clients that didn't need an exercise to be harder
Yeah.
and celebrating that
Yeah.
and that really leaves the rest of the room feeling like, okay, well, you're going to make that harder for that person. Either I'm going to be scared because you're going to come over and hand me a heavier dumbbell than I need, or I feel intimidated by what's going on in that corner over there. I've seen people come in and work out that are in walking boots or slings or have no business working out and need to rest and recover.
Mm.
I do think there is a bigger trend now than ever in focusing on recovery and stress management and well-being. And I'm very glad to see that. And I hope that voice is coming through
Mhm.
because we get stronger when we rest.
Yes, yes. Yes, it's absolutely true. I feel like most people don't need the more challenging one. They need the easier one to, reverse and that they'll get more progress from that
Right,
than
right.
anything over
Yeah,
time,
and
especially.
if you've ever worked out with me in any fitness facility, I modify everything. So whatever the coach demos, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it this way." And sometimes that is to make it harder because it's not challenging, and a lot of times it's to make it, what would be seen as easier, but it's a way for me to more deeply activate the muscles that I'm wanting to work.
Mhm.
That's what it's all about, right? It's not showing up and showing off. It's how connected are you to your body and how effectively are you training those muscles? And a lot of times that happens with the modification or the quote unquote easier version.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it's that mentality of harder is better, like this association of pain and struggle and strain with fitness. And I do think you're right. I think it's kind of taking a backseat. I think we're realizing the harmful effects of it, but it's still ingrained, whether it's subconscious or not. Like people want to push themselves and not listen to their bodies or think that they should be able to do this because someone else is doing it. And I think learning this skill of trusting yourself, listening to yourself, that's what's so important.
people love a challenge. They
Mhm.
like they like to be challenged. And I'm the same. I love a challenge
Yes,
too.
yes, yes, same.
But understanding, when is the time to push and when is the time to rest.
Mhm. Yeah.
Active recovery is
Mhm.
such a good thing.
Yeah, go for a walk. Stretch it out.
Or show up for your workout and just use light weights that day
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
move your body and be okay with it.
Mhm. Yeah, because I find that people sometimes will avoid showing up because they think, "Oh, I have to go. If I go, then I have to push myself hard, and I don't wanna do that, so I'm just gonna not do anything." And, like, I teach my clients really early on, something is better than nothing. Just do a little something. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be super hard, just practice movement.
That's one of the reasons that the gym where I currently train, I really like the coaches there support that. They'll say, here's the workout. Here are three different options for this particular movement. And usually we'll say, when I did this workout, my knee was bothering me. So I did this modification and it worked really well for me. I appreciate that a lot because I think that voice needs to be loud. The other thing I'll say is that I see trending a lot, and part of this is again that social media and making things fun, but making workouts way too complicated.
Yes.
You're nodding.
Yes. Yes.
Making exercises like way more than they need to be. That's yeah. Again, you're not activating the muscles. I mean, again, that goes back to like having a challenge and it being fun and can my body do this thing? It's well and good, but it's not how you should be training the majority of time.
Yeah, yeah, if you it's interesting because if you ask the masters or, like, you go to the people who've been doing fitness forever, they like, the people who know a lot, they're the ones who are more likely to say the basics are the most important. Like, we do have about 7 different basic movement patterns, and people who have longevity, they're just good at doing the boring things, mastering the simple things, and we wanna make it complicated to feel maybe like we're doing something great, but it's just doing the simple practices over and over again, getting really good at them.
Sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So you mentioned that you like to be body positive and you also have worked with clients in weight loss. I'm curious how you see that because it can often be in fitness like a contradiction. Either you are body positive or you are in weight loss. And sometimes it's hard to kind of be in that middle Venn diagram, right? So I'm curious on your take on that. We talked about this a little bit before, but
Yeah,
how do you help from your perspective? Like if you're working with a client who wants to lose weight, how do you incorporate your own, kindness, come as you are, while also challenging them or helping them with this goal that they might have physically?
that's a great question, and I think that's one of the reasons that I'm drawn to you so much, and I respect what you put out, the message that you not just with your clients, but that you put out into the world. I think that's so important. It's something that I struggle with as a woman and as a human being. I mentioned I was did ballet, so I spent my youth in a leotard and tights in front of a mirror,
Mm,
in front of a lot of people who are moving their bodies also in a leotard and tights in front of the mirror. So that comparison, I did dance on the edge of disordered eating when I was in middle school. I remember my mom actually took me to a doctor a couple times because I was just not I was not eating.
mhm,
Ironically, the thing that pulled me out of that was when I went into high school, I tried out for soccer. And I didn't make the team, but I remember thinking I used to give my lunch away. My mom packed my lunch for me, and I would just put it on the picnic table,
mhm,
and the guys would usually grab whatever they wanted. So I wasn't eating lunch. I was eating very little breakfast, sometimes no
mm,
breakfast, no lunch, and then I would eat whatever I could get away with at dinner. But when I started trying out for soccer, I was like, I need fuel for this. I think day one I showed up and there was a lot of running, and I was like, I can't do this. So sports were really what pulled me out of that.
mm,
So I have that, you know, background of knowing what it feels like to be underfed and undernourished
mhm.
and unhappy with your body. And I think just growing up as a woman and being
Yep,
always on in the 90s, we had the low-rise jeans and the flat stomachs, and we had to look this way, and now it's the big booty and the small waist, and there's always an aesthetic,
exactly. It's always something.
right? That we're like, okay, now I got to do all the squats because I have to look this way.
Mhm,
So I know that feeling of being unhappy in your body and in your skin, and I also know that very little is solved by achieving that aesthetic goal. other than
That's a great way to put it. I like that. Yeah.
and I'm not downplaying this because it is fun, but when you go into a store and you can pick out something from the shelf and you know it's going to look good on you, you know it's going to fit. That is a good feeling because I've also been in the plus size shopping section where you just don't feel like anything really looks like it's supposed to on your body. So I've been on both sides of that.
Hmm.
And knowing that I'm not any happier at my core when my body looks what I would deem perfect or what I want like um, is an important message to send. There is so there's a line, right? When you are overly heavy and you're uncomfortable in your skin and you're carrying the extra weight and the reality of that is you have more pressure on your joints. It's not as easy to move around. You get tired. You want to go on a hike or go be active or do certain activities, it's harder to carry around extra weight. So that gets in the way of you living your life fully.
Hmm.
Um, does that affect who you are at the core or your worth as a human being? No, that has absolutely no bearing on that. Can you be successful and beautiful as a heavier person? Absolutely. That has to do with your mindset. Um, so I try to separate, right? Your worth as a human being, your success, your ability to do amazing things is one completely separate thing than your body and its shape
Hmm.
and your health. Can you be amazing and unhealthy? Yeah. Can you be amazing and healthy? Yeah. And flip that,
Right.
right? So I think learning to separate those and understanding where they do overlap, because that I mean that's also the reality. There are if you don't feel comfortable in your skin, you don't feel good about your body, you're not able to move well, you're unhealthy, it will affect your confidence. It will affect your ability to be successful because unfortunately, the way the world looks at heavier people is not positive. But if it's something in yourself, then that's going to hold you back. Like your own feelings about
Hmm.
that shines through. I have a lot of thoughts.
Yeah, no, I'm following you and I'm liking hearing this. Yes, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
definitely
I have a lot
following
of
you.
thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. So as a fitness professional and someone who wants you to be able to live your life as fully as possible, both in your physicality, in your ability to move, and in how you feel about yourself. I can help a lot with the size and shape of your body. I can help with how your body moves, how well it moves, how your endurance is, and a lot of times that comes with weight loss. When people come to me seeking weight loss, sometimes it is very clear that their issues or their root problems are not going to be solved by weight loss.
Hmm.
A lot of times, what happens along the way with that journey is they learn to trust themselves. They learn things like consistency. They learn to honor their their bodies and feed their bodies in a way that says, "I value you."
Hmm.
And that
Hmm.
message can be transformational. You know, what happens on the outside and with your weight loss sometimes is completely different, not different, but completely irrelevant to the transformation that happens from that process on the inside.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think that's really the most important part, especially when we're talking about overall well-being,
Mhm.
is how you see yourself, how you relate to yourself, that confidence, which you can have with or without weight loss. But yeah, and I understand your point about you, especially since you mentioned you like to train for longevity functionality. Sometimes being underweight that can impede, longevity and
Absolutely.
functionality. It's not about like a certain number necessarily when we're training for a goal of overall health. It's more about what can you do with the body that you have and the life that you want to live. And I think that's hard to say one blanket statement for everyone because everyone has different bodies, everyone has different lifestyles, everyone has different needs, comes from different places. So it's hard to give that one size fits all
It
advice
is. And it's hard to
that just
say when
covers
somebody
everything.
comes in and I want to lose 15 pounds. Well, what is going to change in 15 pounds?
Exactly. Exactly.
Besides maybe a pant size or two.
Hmm.
What else is gonna, so I really like to make sure that those like deep rooted things are there. I also think it's very important, not think, no, it's very important that when I'm working with someone, they understand that um, we're fueling your body, we're not starving your body. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, there are a lot of programs out there that will get results very quickly that create very unhealthy relationships with food, or only teach this is how you lose 10 pounds. This is what you do to lose 10 pounds. And then that person finishes, they lose their 10 pounds, they finish the program, and they don't understand how to not go back to what they were doing before that was also not honoring their body.
Yeah.
Teaching someone how to fuel their body properly for their energy needs, for their training needs, and it's different per person.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're both kind of saying something along the lines of like health is not just like what you're doing, but how you're doing it and why and all the values that come with it. So two people could do the same exact thing. It could be unhealthy for one person. It could be healthy for another person. It's all about, their approach, their motives, what their bodies need. So that's why I think coaching and training is so fun because you get to kind of
Yeah,
personalize things and get to know people. And you have,
right.
as a good coach, you do have to get to know some of those things. Otherwise, if you just give them some template, you're not doing your job well.
Yeah, oh, there's so many different things that you can download online that work short term, but
Right.
you're back. And that's why a lot of people end up gaining and losing because they never really figure out how to be content.
Yeah.
Um, because we're not, I mean, this is what I share this with, unless you're like a fitness model or a figure competitor, or
Hmm.
and even those people will say, like, I look like this on one day for a photo shoot or for a competition, and then and then that goes away,
Hmm.
and it's your goal as, for example, I work with a lot of moms. As a mom, it's going to be different than just having six packs, abs. Really, like, is that going to give you anything? Is
Right.
that worth the work that goes into having that and the sacrifices that you need to make to get there?
Mm.
And most of the time, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun to be like, I want to challenge myself. I want to push my body. I want to see what kind of build I can create. And then we figure out what it takes to get there. You're like, okay, I did that. That was great. Check that off. I like
Yeah.
having a cookie every now and then.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's about coming at it from a place of values and what you want for your life, which is something that I really go into with my clients as well. So I want to hear more about what you do and how others can find you. Well, I have this question and I like to ask all guests is what is one message on health you'd like to share with the world if you had a microphone where everyone, all 8 billion people could hear you say one thing? What message would you like to share with everyone? Whitney.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I already shared it, and it was come as you are, show up, and show up for yourself.
That's beautiful.
Fitness is not, you don't need an invitation. You
Mhm.
don't need to have any credentials. You don't need to be at any level. It feels good to move your body. And if it doesn't feel good, then there are 20 other different modalities that you can do, that you can try.
Yeah,
And there is, it's not punishment. It is enjoyable. And from Zumba to lifting weights to water aerobics to somatic movement to yoga. I mean, there are so many different ways to move, whether you like to work out alone or with other people or with a trainer. Find
hmm,
what brings you joy. And if you need an invitation, here it is. Here's your invitation. You're
officially.
allowed to officially, you deserve, and you have a space wherever you want to show up.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That is beautiful. And I think because you have that own approach in your own fitness and health, this is why you're still doing it and you still love it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I appreciate that so much. So you've shared so much good information, and I think a lot of people resonate with this, or probably their ears are dinging listening to you talk. How can people reach you or work with you if they'd like to? What is the best way?
You're going to hear my dog in just a second. He is letting us know that the Amazon driver is here and protecting us from the packages that have been ordered. So anyway, so yeah, my business is Elevate Strong. I am on Facebook and Instagram, both under Elevate Strong. Reach me there, and my website is elevatestrong.com. So
Mm-hmm.
pretty easy to remember because that's my message, right? Is to lift people up, to elevate strength, and to bring that out in my clients. I'm getting ready to start a program on Monday, actually, that is called Fit Foundations, and it's an 8-week program that includes both strength training and flexible dieting. So it's macronutrients
Mm-hmm.
and teaching. And this is like my on-ramp program. So it is perfect for anyone who has never counted macros before and wants to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Or I've got some people signed up who have tracked macros and worked with me in the past and just want a refresher or have different goals
Mm-hmm.
than we did in the past. I customize targets for all of my clients. Everybody is working for their own goals. So this not just fat loss, but I've got a couple of folks in there that are wanting to put on muscle.
Mm-hmm. That's
So I
awesome.
customize those goals for all my clients. So it's definitely not a cookie cutter one size fits all. So that program is called Fit Foundations and it is on my website, elevatestrong.com.
Awesome. And are you planning to do more iterations of that, like doing that continually, or does it come once in a while?
Yeah, that will be that program I'm going to run quarterly. So this is the first time I'm offering
Awesome.
it as is. I do have a more in-depth nutrition program that also includes strength training. That's part of my jam, right? I'm gonna give you both of those because they're a necessity. My business is built on fitness, nutrition, and community because we
Mm,
need the three things that I think are really important. If we learned anything from the pandemic, it was how important people are and being part of community and
yeah,
being seen.
agreed.
So those are the three pillars of my business. But the I also have an ongoing nutrition uh, coaching program that is longer investments.
Hmm.
It's just 6 months, and in that program, we really dig in more into habits and mindset and figuring out why. And that program is really good for someone who has tried a bunch of different diets, maybe
Hmm.
knows what's to do, how to do it and what to do, maybe has gained and lost weight and
Hmm.
just wants to develop a better relationship with food and understand better why they continue to make choices that don't serve them.
Yeah.
So those are the two programs that I offer. One's a kind of shorter on-ramp, just a lot of instruction on how to count and track and understand what macros do. And the other one is a lot more in-depth in getting into mindset and strategies.
Yeah. And all of them have resistance training included. You gotta get strong.
Yeah, it's important. It's important. I train both male women and men,
Hmm.
non-binary,
Hmm.
any gender. So
Hmm. Come as you
that's
are. I
me.
love it.
You show
Yeah.
up and be yourself. But I know a lot of uh, businesses cater specifically to women,
Mhm.
but I don't. I train, and I do train a lot of men, which is I enjoy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like both too.
Yeah,
I like not limiting to just one type of person.
right,
I like to train
right.
different. And also, yeah, you never know who might need you. Like you can't, that's how I feel about it. But that's awesome. I'll put those links in the show notes so you can
Thank
check
you.
Whitney out, check her website out. This was so wonderful. I enjoyed talking with you immensely. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge and experience and your perspective and values on things. I think it's so needed. And
Thank you. Thank you
yeah,
for connecting with you too. I could sit here and talk to you all day, I think.
I think so. I think we need to do something together, maybe work on something together or create something. I don't know. This is, I feel like we're really aligned in our values and how we see things. And we have different strengths and different perspectives, but they really aligned in different
For sure.
ways. So thank you so much for your time, Whitney. I'm so excited for this to go out.
Thank you, Michelle.
Hey there, me one more time because this is my podcast. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. If you would be so kind and generous as to leave a review, a good review, it would mean a lot to the podcast and to growing this so more people can get hold of it. If you would like to get more support, continue listening to this podcast. Follow me on Instagram, friend me on Facebook. You can find me in the link in the show notes. Always feel free to reach out to me. An email is always welcome. Happy to hear from you. And the best way that I actually can help you is, if and when you're ready, is for you to join the 4-H method. It's my signature program, and it helps you make your body your home and your health your hero journey, transforming your health and life from the inside out. Remember, you are worthy, you are powerful. Like you, love you, Coach Michelle.